So Eric and I had been talking about a collaboration. It was a very simple sort of origin point. We had become fast friends, and we were at San Diego Comic-Con, and it was early in the morning, and we both had, for whatever reason, decided to walk to each other's booth. I was walking down to see him, he was walking up to see me. And I said, hey, what are you doing? He's like, well, I was coming to see you. I was coming to see you. He's like, I got something for you. And he just hands me a little baggie. And in the baggie were about 4 heads, hand cast, one of them painted, of his version of PHEYDEN. 100% from him. He sculpted it. He had it cast at the shop. He painted one. And it was a PHEYDEN that was very organic, very cosmic, little did we know. And it had these bio vents on it and these fangs that hung down. And he had painted it, he'd done a wipe on it and wash. So it was sort of a bone colored one with these like red eyes, reddish pink eyes, and it looked just wicked. And it was totally unexpected. I remember looking at it and I was just like, this is incredible. I love this. He said, well, just something for you, I thought you'd like it. I was just thinking about it as Eric, kind person sharing that talent. And we talked a little bit, and then we, kind of headed back to our booths. And I kept looking at this little head, and we called it Evil PHEYDEN because it looked pretty wicked. PHEYDEN has this determination. This son of a looked like he'd bite your, arm off.
So the whole idea behind Infinite Legions was to create a line that we could partner with other creators whom we admire and who we wanted to work with to kind of bring their creations into the world of Legions.
So this is kind of a way for us to work with people that we're fans of, people that we just want to be around, that speak to us.
It's about the collaborations. These are partnerships that we're putting together. We are working directly with creators to bring their visions to life.
This is about the love of what we're doing and the love of the toy that we're making and the love of our line, the love of our pieces, the love of our parts that we make. This pop and swap system has allowed us to be able to do this kind of a thing where we can work with someone who we admire and who we want to be around.
These are their characters through the lens of Four Horsemen Studios and the Legions build format.
We imagine Legions as a build system, so similar to like Glyos or Lego. It doesn't matter whether you buy a Star Wars Lego or a Harry Potter Lego or a dump truck Lego. It's all Lego. It's a certain system. In our Legions figures, whether it's Mythic Legions, Cosmic Legions, or Figure Obscura, they use a shared library of parts. But we see an opportunity with a number of independent creators that are passionate about their creations and being able to bring those into our build system and create really cool high-end collectible fun figures of those characters using the Legions build system.
We want to work directly with the creators and find out what's in their vision, what they want to see in these figures, what their concepts are, what type of creativity they bring to the table, so that we can directly go back and forth and bring the best of both parts of this combination to the table and make something really cool out of it.
So we called this idea Infinite Legions because it means infinite possibilities. There's really anything that we could do with this line. There's anybody that we could partner with to bring these new characters into this world.
It's a celebration of both them and us together, and what we can do and what we can create together. And the first one that we're working on is PHEYDEN with the Glyos system, which is somewhere in this vicinity, in this room. It's a big part of this room.
PHEYDEN is Matt's main character in the world of Glyos. It's an iconic figure in his line, and it's one that I certainly have a number of in my collection. Because our relationship with Matt, our history with Glyos, is really the ultimate version of what we're looking to do with this line. It's a true collaboration on every level. The figures are going to be very cool. Fusing them with our aesthetic has been a lot of fun and a very natural fit as well. But again, the collaboration going into it and the discussions that we're having and the history that we're building on with this is just such a long time coming. It's years in the making.
It made so much sense to begin with Onell Design and Matt Dowdy and his flagship character PHEYDEN. So much about Legions, we kind of owe what we've built here to the Glyos system and the Glyos community.
So the pop and swap of Mythic Legions was born from this Glyos world. It is a world of its own that Matt had invented. When I say Matt, I mean the entire Glyos crew, that they invented to be able to build with their figures in a way that you can take them apart and reconfigure them into however you want them to look. You can get the same figure over and over again, and just if you buy 5 of them, you can put all those pieces together and build your own thing out of it.
The idea of an interchangeable library of parts, that's core to Legions, and it's core to Infinite Legions. So working with Matt on this particular project and bringing PHEYDEN into the Legions universe really felt like it was coming full circle. It was also very practically, he's such a friend of the studio that we were like, hey, we have this crazy idea to do a partnership, not a traditional licensing model, but partner with you to make something cool. We don't know if it's going to work or not. So starting out with someone who is somewhat of a maverick himself and someone who's just willing to try new things and who loves what we do, and we've had decades of working together in mutual respect, everything just kind of lined up to say this is the first project, this is the natural fit to make PHEYDEN a Infinite Legions character. Adding in the custom pieces to fully render PHEYDEN out, something as simple as like he's got like a gun arm, right? But it looks so cool, and like just seeing that, there was almost like the kid in me that was just like giddy about how cool that was gonna be to have like just a weapon, like a blaster arm. Seeing the different heads for PHEYDEN and just how it changes out the figure, I found myself looking at the prototype on the table and looking at the 3 different heads and saying like, I don't know which one I would display. I'm gonna have to buy 3 of them. And I know that as a fan myself, that's gonna be a sentiment that a lot of other fans are gonna share, is they're gonna be so excited for the different looks that they're gonna have to double and triple up to really get all of those styles. Seeing that figure full size, especially next to the PHEYDEN, it feels so new, but so much of an honor to where it came from. Like you can see the Glyos DNA in it. You can see that same attention to character and to love that's in it. And it was something special. Being able to actually be at the table when the bubble wrap got opened and Matt saw it for the first time. I've been in a delivery room when a child is born, and it's crazy to kind of compare it to that, but seeing him open it up, I mean, he's lived with PHEYDEN for decades now, and to see him see a whole new version of PHEYDEN, that was the first thing that I could think about. Like, it was literally seeing your child. I think it's a crazy analogy to make unless you are a creator that has birthed something like this. If you've created a character and you've poured so much of yourself and so much of your, personal life and professional career into a character, I think you really can understand the emotional impact that you have seeing that figure. So much of what was built with Legions, both from a toy line and from a community, we owe that to the influence of Glyos. The interchangeability aspect of Legions is absolutely directly influenced by Glyos, the close-knit community of Glyos that really respects other artists and other creators. That is something that's been core to the Legions community, to the success of this line. So there's such a synergy there.
We worked with Matt on our Outer Spacemen line and our Power Lords line years ago. We've had so many talks about what we could do together, those daydreaming type conversations. And we're so inspired by the way Matt has put together his line, the people he surrounds himself with, and the way that he interacts with his fan base. We've tried to emulate that with our line. It's so cool for us to watch the two groups come together and just see what a synergy there is there. It's just a perfect fit. So it's been fun watching those two fan bases start to overlap and merge over the past few years. That's another reason this just feels like such a natural next step for us and for Glyos. For those who don't know, Mythic Legions was originally going to be a Glyos compatible line. That was at the time we were doing a lot of work with Matt and then the Glyos scale and Glyos compatible. And so Mythic Legions was fully planned out as a 4-inch scale line that was all about the fit function, the interchangeability and compatibility with existing Glyos lines. And we hit a point where we had a decision to make whether or not to stay at that scale or move up to a more 6-inch sized figure. And again, not an easy decision, a lot of tossing and turning over that one. But just because we moved up in size, a lot of the elements that we had planned in stuck with the line moving up. And the interchangeable parts was absolutely something that was in the works, inspired by Glyos, and has become crucial to our line.
We were at Legions 2 years plus ago, and he broached what would become Infinite Legions. He brought up, he said, I think it's time we actually go into production on one of these crossovers. And I was yes from 2 decades ago. So we discussed it, and then we knocked around some ideas and some drawings, and then it really came into focus. And we worked on and off again on it for the greater part of a year, and then we were getting closer to Legions, and so then we really kicked it up.
This is something that we were really excited to announce at Legions Con last year. And it's a concept that we've talked about for a long time. And we were just waiting for the right time to unleash this line.
He had done a rough. He sent me the rough, and I just drew on it. But I tried to draw as he would solve a Glyos problem. And since we had worked together on Power Lords and OSM, and I was very familiar with his sort of, visual lexicon, so to speak, I can understand those lines. And there are some fundamental similarities to some of the ways we solve things. These parts were really worked on as a collaborative. It like big time. This was not a, hey, just make your own version. This was trying to understand each other's aesthetic, working on drawings, working on sculpts, reworking, working again, different views, drawing into the night, colors, comps, taking pieces and looking at them, prints, everything.
So many members of our community are now collecting Glyos, not only because they're super fun figures, but they're super great people. And that's really at the core of everything. I think that's what Infinite Legions is all about, is we want to have partnerships with people whom we admire and we want to work with. And of course, we're running a business. We want these to be successful. We hope they sell 1 million units. But it doesn't matter how many units they sell, the process has been incredibly special. Like working with Matt, the synergy that our two companies have for each other, how we make each other better and what we take from each other, that is core to this particular project and to the Infinite Legions idea.
And that's all done in coordination with each other. Phone calls, texts, emails, friendship. Toyline's born out of desire, not necessity. But it's done because this is a long-term commitment, creatively and through friendship with each other. And just trying to make things that have integrity and that are legitimately something you want. And it's a fun way also for our two sort of worlds to connect through the people that follow these different things to their creative endeavors. We're already seeing a lot of people sort of meeting each other's worlds, and that is, I don't know really what is better than that in life. We always had this connection first. It was that wanting to be friends, so anything we do, and I think on both sides of it, these things are made for the right reasons.